Hello everyone, Calina here of StoryRetold, continuing with the series Everything Wrong with Nancy Drew. And this is with Secret of the Scarlet Hand by Michael Gray, Arglefumph, which his channel playlist for these videos, the series, is in the link down below. So be sure to check him out. So here we go. There are spoilers for this game. This is my reaction. It's been a long time since I've seen these videos. So this is kind of a refresher. Okay. There's no audio.
All the other games in this series were mystery adventures. This game's genre is more like historical education.
Yeah.
Box art has a close-up of Joanna over a close-up of Joanna. The floppy disk on the box art is the wrong color.
Yeah, in the game it was a different color, wasn't it? Yeah, that's true.
All of the puzzles are exactly the same on Junior Mode and Senior Mode.
Are they really? I hadn't noticed.
Someone should tell Nancy what email is.
This was not very popular in 2002. When was this game out? I don't remember.
Beach Hill gives Nancy a job through a postcard.
Isn't that cool? Postcards.
I was just checking the lock on this display case.
The display case has no lock.
That's true.
Game trolls us with a unique character model for Nancy, which we don't get to see.
Are you sure it's a model? Maybe it's just a flat silhouette inserted into this image for the cutscene. I know. Her interactive teased the Nancy Drew appearance a lot.
Nancy introduces herself to her new boss while lurking in the shadows. Since all the lights are off except one, that means Nancy and Joanna were forced to walk through the entire museum in the dark to get here. How did the lights get turned off? The museum doesn't have light switches.
That you see.
Is that Jade?
Nancy's dialogue doesn't appear in the text box.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is incorrect, huh?
There isn't another piece like this in the world, and it's priceless.
With an intro like that, there is no way this Jade piece will make it through the game without being stolen.
I know.
And it's priceless.
The monolith has a price, but this small piece of Jade doesn't.
Huh.
Joanna casts no reflection here, but casts a reflection here.
It's up above.
Joanna casts a reflection, but Nancy doesn't.
You'll meet him later.
And she's a vampire.
Joanna's lips are not synced with her dialogue.
Who is
Animation.
King Pakal?
Nancy did absolutely no research on the museum or the Maya before taking this job.
So
So we'll be relying heavily on our volunteer staff. Namely, you.
I quit. The museum can afford $1 million exhibit, but it can't afford to pay more than 2 employees.
yeah.
If Nancy isn't getting paid for this job, how can she afford to travel to DC and live out of a hotel for 2 months? It's not like she has money left over from solving any of her previous mysteries.
We haven't seen that yet.
I told him I don't even want to see his pointy Vander head till he's got a translation on that monolith.
Henrik's boss told him to translate the monolith, but instead of doing that, he's dusting the pottery.
Shouldn't I have more
Okay.
training?
Or, any training whatsoever. Joanna keeps all the good artifacts hidden inside of her office.
Good.
What does Joanna do all day? She's supposed to be preparing for the exhibition, but whenever we see her, she's looking at a microscope.
Good point. I don't know what she's doing.
I don't know what's more unrealistic, the museum not having bathrooms or the museum not having a gift shop.
Are you sure there's not an extra room outside of the main entrance? I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere off screen.
Did you have enough time to see that glyph? I hope you did, because you'll need to know it for a puzzle, and you can't zoom in on it later to double check what it looks like.
Yeah, that was probably bad design. But I think it's also mentioned on the pamphlet, right?
Sunny June forces Nancy to search the entire museum for the 5 items he scattered around randomly. Sunny June is a jerk.
I agree.
5 points off for Taylor's character design.
5.
I don't know what's freakier, his pencil mustache, his puffy lips, or his sloppy bald man comb-over attached to a full head of hair.
Okay, I think that's just the way he's supposed to be designed. If you don't like it, okay. But yeah, he's supposed to be kind of slimy, kind of playing into a cliche business kind of type, I guess.
Also, 5 points off for Taylor's tie.
5 points? I love that tie. Yes, it's hideous, but I think it's amazing.
Instead of introducing himself like a normal person, Taylor walks up to Nancy and silently stands behind her until she notices him.
I'm Sinclair.
Taylor introduces himself by his last name.
Can't we talk now?
Just meet me later.
Taylor starts talking to Nancy about the thefts, then cuts off mid-conversation and forces her to visit his office to continue. Taylor is a jerk.
Yeah, I agree. That wasn't fair. Teasing us about something he wants to tell us, coming all the way to tell us something, only to tell us go to the other place, and then we'll talk. Yeah, that's not fair.
Taylor has already stolen 2 of the monolith keys at this point, which means he translated the monolith long before Henrik did.
Are you sure he translated it? Maybe he learned about it from another source? And I'm sure just because he doesn't know what even if he does know what it means, or if he doesn't know what it meant, having those jade pieces are still valuable.
Either Taylor is secretly a language expert, or Henrik has been lying about his qualifications. Henrik's flesh-colored shirt makes it look like he's topless.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, for the long time as a kid, I thought he wasn't wearing a shirt. Plus, it's the same color as his pants, but that's just a different shade, darker. Oh, I know. I agree.
Why are you wearing that mask?
So her interactive can save on animation.
Yes. Exactly.
Howdy.
Henrik is a creepy cowboy. We have 6 phone numbers spread out over 2 screens, but we can only call half of them. It would make much more sense if the 3 phone numbers we can call were together on 1 screen.
You gotta make the player work for it and figure out what is important and what is not. Can't just hand feed stuff to the player all the time.
Nancy can cross this task off her list before Henrik tells her she doesn't have to do it.
Yeah, I think that could have helped. I mean, giving the player ultimate freedom like that to check it off whether it's done or not is cool, but... No, my light went out. A lot of the other Nancy Drew games don't check it off until it's actually completed so that the player knows whether it's done or not. So yeah, I agree. It's a bit of an inconsistency for the player in the series to allow that.
Sunny's notebook contains a blatant advertisement for justadventure.com.
Was that a real website? I don't remember.
Task list items are crossed off here, but not here. It's not obvious where you need to click in order to rotate the board.
I agree. This puzzle design could have been done a little bit more intuitively.
Game trips up players by giving clues for number pictures that don't appear in this puzzle.
Well, you gotta be able to distinguish. It's part of the puzzle. Distinguish between the symbols versus the numbers.
This puzzle requires way too much back and forth traveling between the puzzle and the exhibits.
Depends on how you play that. I mean, if you take a quick note at each exhibit and then refer to the map of what letters they are coordinated with, if you just listen for the audio, you'll find the correct one, and you only need to make one trip, actually. But it depends on how you take notes as a detective, so...
Washington, D.C. is filled with all sorts of interesting people and places, none of which we'll see in this game.
No, that's too bad. It's too bad, Michael. You didn't add pictures of yourself or submit them in time for her interactive to make this game. That would have been cool. But, yeah, there's a lot to animate, and I think the team only contributed to what was relevant to the mystery.
Washington, D.C. has a Mexican embassy, not a Mexican consulate.
Well, yeah, this is a fictional game, so we wanted to create a fictional space for the player to actually enter.
Mexican consulate has no security, waiting times, or receptionist.
Maybe it just wasn't necessary to show it.
Alejandro meets Nancy and instantly accuses her of being a conquistador. Alejandro is a jerk. Rich art dealer has that painting hanging in his office.
I know.
Taylor asks Nancy to solve the crimes that he committed. Culprit foils their own plot. Taylor warns Nancy about the robbery he's planning to commit at Beach Hill. Again, culprit foils their own plot.
The police are on their way.
Joanna's lips are not synced with her dialogue.
Yeah.
By complete coincidence, all of the suspects were in the museum at the time of the robbery. We just didn't see them because they were hiding.
No, Nancy was hiding. Nancy was in a back room at the time, and like one of the back rooms. And that adds all of them as prime suspects, and that's why we have them as characters to investigate.
Mystery doesn't start until an hour and a half into the game.
Depends on which order of sequence you play. Yes, Nancy is here first and foremost as an intern, and it's not until later that the mystery occurs, because this is one of those player stumbles into a mystery scenarios, not player is called in to solve a mystery.
Joanna goes from her office to the crime scene to this doorway in under 3 seconds.
Well, with you the player being in that room, she could have been in the somewhere nearby, like the garden or something.
Those 3 seconds, Henrik had enough time to steal the pakal, leave the handprint, and escape without being noticed.
That was a bit of a... Unless he had the key to the exhibit, took it out, replaced the jade carving with the note, and then smashed the jewelry, the case, then took off.
I'm curious about the red handprint the thief left. Does it have any significance in Maya culture?
Afraid I can't help you there.
Joanna is an expert on the Maya, but she can't answer simple questions about Maya culture.
Maybe she doesn't know every single detail.
Mercuric sulfide is highly toxic. Makes you crazy.
Nancy carries the toxic handprint with her for days without any negative side effects.
It's dry, though. Is there a difference between it when it's wet paste and when it's dried?
I like the spooky Scarlet Hand, but it raises way more questions than it answers. Whose handprint is it? How did they make the handprint with a toxic substance? Why doesn't anyone try to identify the culprit through the fingerprints? Does the handprint Henrik left match the handprints that Taylor left at the other crime scenes? If so, how?
No, that does present a good point. If the other carvings were... Oh, no, hang on. We don't know that the red handprints look the same as this one. This one has some glyphs on it, and if you notice, the texture on the hand is consistent. There are no, like, your typical hand lines or hand fingerprints. So this person could have had a glove on. And inhaled the fumes from the wet paste. That's how I interpret it.
If not, why did nobody notice there are 2 different handprints and deduce we've got 2 different culprits?
Maybe not everyone has seen all of the red handprint evidence.
Why doesn't anybody but Nancy follow up on the glyphs written above the hand? Why don't the police take the hand as evidence?
That is a good point. Why don't the police take the hand as evidence?
And isn't the handprint more crimson than scarlet?
Sure.
To trigger the cutscene of Henrik falling, you have to go through a specific doorway in a specific direction.
Yes, I know. That was not the best logic mapping design, because there are 2 ways to get in and out of the garden, and if you don't do it the right way, player wouldn't know what to do next. They can get stuck.
A lot of people got stuck here since there aren't any clues indicating that's what you have to do in order to progress. Henrik's fall takes place off-screen to save on animation. Henrik's left arm is above his head in this shot and below his head in this shot. We never learn what caused Henrik to fall. Was he attacked by Taylor, or was it just an accident? Why can't we investigate this?
I think since he inhaled the toxic paste, like he breathed some of the fumes or whatever, it's possible that part of the symptoms, the making him crazy, could have made him lightheaded as well. He could have tripped. That's true.
Henrik gets amnesia in order to drag out the story for another hour.
My mother posts my old prom pictures on the internet.
Joanna's prom dress, what was she thinking? At the start of the game, Nancy didn't know what
Wow.
monoliths or glyphs were, but when she talks to her friends, Nancy pretends she knew that information all along. Alarm clock reused from previous games.
Yeah.
Nancy's computer has a fire icon in the lower right, and I have no idea what it does.
Firewall? Antivirus? That's what I presume, but you're right. It's not clear.
Nancy's hotel room has no bathroom.
Does it not?
It takes too long to scroll through all of Nancy's notes
Yeah.
in order to get to the one note you need.
Yeah.
He has repeated your name several times in states of semi-consciousness.
While semi-conscious, Henrik regularly calls out the name of a teenage girl he just met earlier today.
Yeah.
I told you he was a creepy cowboy.
No, he's also since she's new to this whole case and oblivious to what's going on behind the scenes, he could have trusted her.
Nurse Bluefoot has 2 spaces for Henrik's allergies and only 1 space for family members.
Family members. Marital status. Children.
I guess he magically knew ahead of time that Henrik has more allergies than kids.
There's a number you can insert here. But yeah, it's more important to know about allergies if you're in a hospital with amnesia. No one knows what your health condition is.
And I kept going.
Why does Alejandro make a swooshing sound at the end of this sentence?
Why not?
So I do not have to answer any questions. But I will.
Alejandro is immature.
Yeah.
Henrik can't remember his own name, but he definitely remembers all the specific circumstances surrounding the writing of these glyphs.
Yeah.
Henrik's pecs change size when he switches rooms. I guess taking off the mask makes him less buff. If Pakal didn't want anyone to open up the monolith, why did he hide the keys instead of destroying them?
Looks like I need to
valuable.
find someone who speaks Nahuatl.
No, you don't. Just look up the answer on the internet, Nancy. Jeez. You have to talk to Franklin about Prudence Rutherford
Wait, you gave that many points for that?
before Joanna is picked up by the police, otherwise you'll never be able to call Prudence, making it impossible to win the game.
Oh dear.
I've spoken to the rest of the board and we've agreed that the best thing is to put you in charge.
Board of Directors puts an unpaid intern who started work yesterday in charge of $1 million exhibition that's already been robbed.
Okay, to be fair, there's only 2 members on staff, remember? And then they're both out. So Nancy is all that's left. And her reputation precedes her, so a little bit of trust goes a long ways.
Nancy's promotion to the head of the museum does not include a salary increase.
Interim.
Nancy's promotion doesn't include taking on any additional responsibilities.
No,
Game forces you to sit through 15 minutes of phone calls.
that's a lot of time.
Manually dialing 10-digit phone numbers.
Oh, come on, that's typical for phones back then.
Unlike the previous games, the phone numbers you need are not listed in the caption box.
Ooh, that was difficult. Yeah, you have to take handwritten notes for this game.
You have to memorize all of those phone numbers.
Check out that Bool game.
Wait, is that how you're supposed to pronounce bull? Curse of Blackmore Manor lied to me!
Oh.
This puzzle.
Yeah.
The museum quizzes
What's wrong with that puzzle? Yeah, it's kind of annoying. I agree.
require way too much back and forth traveling between the quiz screens and the exhibits. The quizzes don't save your progress, so every time you leave to look up the
Yeah.
answer in the museum, you have to start over from the beginning again.
Yeah.
The museum has not 1, but 2 quizzes with answers that aren't found in the museum itself.
Yeah, it's called playtesting and making sure that all the information is there in the museum relevant to this activity. And I think that was one of the points that Sonny June was making in one of them. I forget which one, the matchmaker or something?
The matching puzzle requires way too much back and forth traveling between the puzzle and the exhibits.
Not necessarily. You can brute force this without having to learn all of these. I mean, you can go and look up Road Black 19 thrown north in ink and then take handwritten notes or just take a picture with your phone camera.
Make a single mistake with a matching puzzle or the ball game puzzle, and you're forced to restart from the beginning again.
I know.
Maze Puzzle does not give you enough time to read this pop-up.
Oh, wait. There was a maze puzzle in here? I forgot about that.
Maze Puzzle reused from game number 3.
Nice, yeah.
This is a creepy lock.
Yes, it is.
This audio glitch. You can call the daddles from this phone, but not this phone.
Right, personal numbers.
I think it might help my memory of Nahuatl a lot.
Government agent blackmails Nancy into stealing documents for him.
The artist, formerly known as Penelope, is OOC, OTH, TDT, and generally not in the mood.
I have no idea what any of those things mean.
Are you not hip and trendy in the art world, Michael? I don't actually know what those mean either.
Henry Daddle gives out his daughter's phone number to a complete stranger. Nancy normally takes things without asking, but with Poppy's jade piece, she asks permission first, so there can be a puzzle. Poppy calls Taylor Big Bunny multiple times,
Yes.
and Henrik's notes talk about a criminal named Big Bunny, but Nancy never draws a connection between the two.
Added bonus for the player to deduce that on their own.
So you'll call Joanna and invite her back to work?
I'll call her right away.
Joanna reappears in her office 5 seconds after this. That must have been one quick phone call. Nancy throws out the rest of Prudence's necklace.
Yeah.
Taylor's cookies.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I hope.
Bathroom humor.
That's what was insinuated and implied, but it could have been anything else. It could be an actual art emergency or something. But yeah, I think it must have been bathroom humor.
Taylor conveniently leaves his office right when Nancy needs to snoop there.
Yep.
Taylor doesn't notice Nancy defaced this painting.
Not yet.
Taylor never noticed this painting had one of the jade carvings he was trying to steal. Conveniently, 2 of the jade pieces Nancy needs are already located inside the museum.
Convenient.
The monolith was moved from Mexico to the United States, but all 4 sides are still facing the correct direction.
Well, maybe there was a little bit of extra instruction that they followed, and they arranged it properly.
Nobody thought to put a calendar plate on this side of the monolith,
No.
even though the other 3 sides all have one.
Right?
I'm not sure I can hold on to these stones for very much longer.
Unless Nancy is carrying them towards the monolith, in which case she can hold on to them for as long as she wants. Nancy doesn't think to take 1 stone at a time to lighten the load. Game expects you to remember which directions are associated with which carvings.
Yeah, you're supposed to have taken your notes. The notes are in the game. You gotta remember them.
Was it really necessary to get all 6 keys when only 4 of them are pressed into the monolith?
Yes.
The monolith has impossibly complex locking technology, considering that it was made out of stone in the 600s.
Again, fictional Nancy Drew game.
I guess we can't all age gracefully.
Taylor's mouth is not synced with his dialogue.
It's blank.
Who's your friend, Nancy?
Taylor should be close enough to hear Nancy say this, but at the end of the game, he is confused to find that the book is blank. Why is there a blank book in the monolith? Did Pakal put it there just to mess with potential robbers?
Yeah, I think Bacall gave her extra paper to go ahead, write your story, you know? Like, dare you to write it, and this is your last chance to do anything as you suffocate and die.
If so, this 1,300-year-old practical joke worked perfectly. Nancy easily escapes from the monolith, which was created as an inescapable prison.
Right.
Instead of using this bar to escape the monolith, the Whisperer hid it inside of her mouth.
Great way of keeping anyone else from getting it when she was alive.
Meanwhile, the foolish villain stews in the sour soup of his own miscalculation.
Characters' mouths aren't synced with their dialogue. Once again, all the suspects are in the museum at the same time, but Nancy didn't see them because they were hiding. Why did Henrik get released from the hospital so quickly?
Good behavior.
What were these 3 doing when Taylor attacked Nancy and escaped? Were they standing here preparing their poem?
Yes! We needed a grand finale. I don't know.
Why is the animation quality here so much better than in the rest of the game?
Because it's a cutscene instead of a regular dialogue animation.
End of game gives Henrik a free pass on robbing the museum and working with smugglers.
Robbing. Well, he is an employee, and he did not leave it, or he did not take it out of the museum. 151, Taylor Sinclair's prom date with matching ties. Oh dear. That is hilarious. I think that's all of the video. Okay. Awesome. Not as bad as I was expecting, but there were a few in there I was definitely expecting, like the coming around the corner to to see Henrik's injury, that was for sure. But yeah, there were some bugs in there. And yeah, the quality of the games back then were not as up to par with a lot of more advanced studios, let's say that, or well-funded studios. You know, time constraint was a thing. So yeah, I get it. Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. Be sure to follow Arglefumph and watch his videos, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!